Hey, I'm going to provide you a solution to this call recording dilemma that you face as an insurance agent. And first of all, I'm going to start off by saying the simple solution is to not generate Medicare Advantage leads. There's all the reason in the world to not generate Medicare Advantage leads. And as a practice, we do not do that. We do not want Medicare Advantage leads. We do not need to focus on the AEP to be successful or the OEP. You can sell lots of insurance all year long. If you're focused on Medicare Advantage, basically what you're doing is you're pigeonholing yourself to a product that doesn't give you flexibility. And let me explain more. And I'll do this by saying where we want to go is we want to go to what's called a 4-product progression. And you can see I have a script here for the 4-product progression, and it has opening, transitions, overcoming objections, follow-up communications, qualifying, the close, cross-selling, post-close, including referrals. Okay, this is a sales system, and I will focus on the dilemma of the actual. Shall we say the call recording issue, but have a sales system that enables you to sell many products. Don't be pigeonholed. That's number one. I don't want a Medicare Advantage lead because, and by the way, in that progression of products, I'm never even going to bring up Medicare Advantage. That's my objective. Unless the client were to bring it up to me, they're going to have to ask me because it's not a Medicare Advantage lead. But listen, I don't want to talk about Medicare Advantage because then if I start there, I've got to scope them. I don't want a business reply card lead or a Facebook lead for Medicare Advantage. It limits my ability to be a full service agent. I can't talk about their health, other than to qualify them for a chronic plan. I can't talk about their medicines, their prescriptions, other than really to determine whether those medicines are in the formulary and what tier they are and what they may cost. It's a dead end. In our presentation, we talk about referrals. You can't ask for referrals in a natural way. You're very confined to the methods of which you can obtain referrals. It just restricts you. I can't sell other products if I start there. The person may be a great final expense prospect. You can't sell it. So why would you start there? That's one reason to not generate the Medicare Advantage lead. Now, the terminology that you need to, as an agent, that you need to focus on is, let me see here. Oh, I'm trying to move my screen. All right. The terminology you need to focus on is chain of enrollment, okay? If you generate Medicare Advantage leads, you need to focus on this chain of enrollment. That could be your website. That could be a Facebook ad. That could be a direct mail piece, your script, calls recorded. You're responsible for third parties and their actions. Okay, so you want to, it's the whole chain of enrollment. When it becomes apparent that there's going to be a Medicare Advantage presentation or sale, that's the terminology that you want to look out for. When it's apparent, and that was in the, I believe, the United Healthcare language. Don't take me for, kind of quoting that exactly as it is. When it becomes obvious, apparent that there's going to be a Medicare Advantage sale, you need to start recording everything, okay? That's why I want to stay away from it. Not just because I don't want to record it, because who cares about recording it? I'm compliant. I don't need to worry about recording anything. So recording is not the issue. The issue is everything that I've said previously. It's how are you going to build your business? And again, you don't need to build it with Medicare Advantage leads. And by the way, when you look at this, one thing I want to point out is don't be afraid to sell Medicare Advantage. Just be compliant. It's no big deal. And the reason, what really provoked me to make this video was that there's agents once again saying, I don't know if I want to sell Medicare Advantage. Well, that's stupid. I say it's stupid. I'm not calling people stupid. They're scared. But that's because they lack the knowledge to, if you're confident of what you're doing, you don't have to be scared, and you can sell any product you want. Okay, that's it. Look, I'll go back to yesteryear, which is just before this call recording thing became the big issue, and that was when it was just people would just scare you from selling Medicare Advantage regardless. People actually were scared to sell Medicare Advantage because people said, oh, if you sell that stuff, you could get in trouble if you don't do it right. Nobody gets in trouble. Worst case scenario I've ever seen is somebody has an allegation and they have to provide some documentation. And you're either found at fault or not. And by the way, even if you were found at fault, you did something wrong. It wasn't like you were going to lose your ability to sell. I don't know anybody that lost their ability to sell Medicare Advantage insurance unless they were doing things that were not beneficial to the client or hurtful, I should say. If they were, they could have been in any business, selling final expense, selling home repairs. They could have been doing anything and they would have gotten in trouble. I've seen many more instances where people selling annuities got in trouble than Medicare Advantage. Many, many more. And it's more probable that you'll get in trouble for selling annuities than Medicare Advantage. That's it. So don't be afraid. Don't listen to these people that tell you that Medicare Advantage is no good and you shouldn't sell it. And listen, it's a wonderful product. It has a purpose. There are 29 million Medicare beneficiaries on Medicare Advantage. There's a reason for that, okay? And by the way, if a lead starts in a capacity other than Medicare Advantage, in other words, you don't have a business reply card or you don't have a compliant presentation where you're coming out of the gate and it's scoped right up front. You can scope them, do a scope, and on the scope of appointment, how was contact initiated would be a client requested meeting, okay? Hang up the phone, all right? And this is a way you can be 100% certain. Call the Medicare Advantage company that you're considering writing that business with and say, listen, I was talking to somebody. I was talking to them about Medicare supplement. They asked me about Medicare Advantage. So what I did was I scoped them. But before I proceed, so I can be 100% compliant, I want to ask you, am I correct in my methods in the process that I'm utilizing? Okay, so the vast majority of these people, the vast majority of these companies and people that you talk to are going to say, yes, proceed. And document it. Document it. I have documented a dozen times at least with all the big name companies at different levels in the hierarchy of management, going all the way up to executive level, and where they say your job is to help the client. That's your job. Help the client. So again, let me repeat. You scope them. How was contact initiated? It's a client requested meeting because you were talking to them about something else. When they ask about Medicare Advantage, that meeting is over. They are requesting a meeting. Now you are in the chain of enrollment, okay? When they brought up Medicare Advantage and you said, whoa, in order to discuss Medicare Advantage, we need to do what's called a scope of appointment, and you fill it out, and then we can proceed. But before doing so, I'm going to make sure that we're 100% on point here. I'm going to do the scope of appointment. Again, how was the initial contact made, or how was initial contact initiated, if you will. And that's client requested meeting. When do they want to have this meeting? I'll just put today's date on the scope of appointment and then say, listen, I'll call you back, or have them call you back, whatever it is. But in the meantime, call the company and say, listen, do you want me to help this customer? How do you want me to help this customer, right? And document it. Simple as that. It's that easy. And you'll find that the companies will say, yes, go ahead and do it. And if they don't, well, don't do it. And if you find there's a company doesn't have the best interest of the Medicare beneficiaries at heart, don't do business with them. But I have had this conversation many times over with many insurance companies, and I've never had a problem. As a matter of fact, as a rule of thumb, I want to have this conversation with account executives for all the companies. Whenever I speak with them, I say, oh, by the way, if I'm talking to an insured, a Medicare beneficiary, and they out of the blue express an interest in Medicare Advantage, what should I do? Should I scope them at that point and start a new presentation? And they'll say yes. That's what they'll say. By the way, this is just for a lot of companies, it's funny. They say, oh, there's a big dark cloud coming over the insurance industry. It's call recording. But guess what? We have a solution. We use our call recording tools, right? It's almost like this big circle jerk, and you're the middleman in this big circle jerk. You the agent. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, you better be careful. And by the way, if you contract with us, you can use our call recording information or system for free. It's like everybody's got a call recording system. Everybody does. It's like, I'm not going, you know what? It makes sense that they would do this. It makes sense that they would do this. Why not? But some of them, I don't think they even care. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact some of them don't care about you, the agent. This is opportunity time for them. Oh yeah, it's like with every bad situation becomes a great opportunity, right? And this is it. With every crisis, whatever you want to call it, that's a political thing. I think that stems from. But the bottom line is, you're fine if you help the consumer. If you're out there helping Medicare beneficiaries, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it, and don't listen to these people. By the way, these organizations that are like, oh, holier than thou, the National Association of Health Underwriters, they're a joke. They don't do anything to help you. Well, maybe they do. I just don't see it. I have watched regulations unfold year after year after year. These organizations aren't looking out for you. They're Washington-based lobby groups. They are located in Washington. AHIP's located in Washington. NAHU is located in Washington. If you think that you are their priority, you got another thing coming. And the reason I say that, as this unfolded, these regulations were dumped on the agent, and then what did National Association of Health Underwriters do? Hey, we're going to try to change this rule. They didn't change anything. And by the way, if they didn't know it was coming, they're a pretty, I don't want to use profanities, but they're a pretty bad organization if they weren't able to intervene ahead of time. If they weren't able to interject themselves into the process, you're not going to change it post implementation. Idiots, and by the way, they just drum up a greater membership. Hey, you better join us. We got to fight for this stuff. Meanwhile, they're doing things that may not be in your best interest, just like labor unions and stuff sometimes. Not all the time, and not that they're bad, all of them. Some are. Getting off track. All right, listen. Just help your client, and you'll be fine. That's what I'm going to say. That's where I'm going to end it. Don't go buying Medicare Advantage leads. get leads to sell other products, become a family agent, over the phone, become their agent, and they're going to tell you what they need.